I felt so self-conscious the very first time that I was actively masturbating because I thought, oh no, like, is God judging me for this? Should I be feeling bad about touching? And I could not orgasm. Alrighty.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where did you grow up originally?
I was born on the east coast of the U.S., and I was born in the city. I started moving out to the country with my family when I was 9 years old, and then I lived there for several years until I was 18, and then I went into college. But I've lived all the way in the east coast of the U.S. until pretty much a year.
What did you study in college?
I was getting a double major in biology and psychology with a specialization in neuroscience. While I was in college, it was finally my time to just live on my own. I had a dorm. I was really exploring my independence. And at that point, I remember wanting to go into camming because I felt like that would help me explore my sexuality. I was just so uncomfortable with the idea of masturbating. And I realized that with a little bit of external encouragement, I think that I would feel just so much better about myself. And so I started camming, and then a little bit after that, I realized that I was earning more money doing this, exploring myself and having so much fun discovering this part of me that I found myself pursuing this for now in lieu of my college education. Let's see. I very distinctly remember I was living at my parents' house, and my back was just pressed firmly against the bed. I was looking at the ceiling, and then I looked over, and I could see the cross that was hanging outside of my bedroom. I felt so self-conscious the very first time that I was actively masturbating because I thought, oh no, like, is God judging me for this? Should I be feeling bad about touching? And I could not orgasm my very first time. It actually took me several years to get myself to orgasm because it would build up to this point of like Christian guilt. And I feel so much more free now. I'm very happy about that. I think that everyone at some point in their life realizes that they have just these intense sexual desires that are building up inside of them. And especially the way that I grew up in a culture where we were taught that masturbation was a sin, it was very difficult. But I knew that this was a desire that I had inside of me that I needed to let out at some point. And that's what brought me to that point. I realized, it's okay, no one can see me. At first I was like, God's not watching, but it was very intense for me. There was a lot of shame at first. And I've really grown from that now. My very first orgasm I could describe as just explosive. It was almost cosmic in the way that I just felt it shaking my body. I thought, wow, oh my gosh, this is what I've been missing out on. This is what I've been feeling bad about. It was just this very quick afterglow that just took over me, and I realized, this is right. This is what my body wants to do. It felt amazing. When I was growing up, it was very typical in my Christian community for them to say that you are like a brand new car. If you are used, then you lose your value. Or you're like a brand new stick of gum. If you chew it, it gets all gross. There were all of these degrading descriptions of what sexuality was for women, and it wasn't like that for guys. I thought that it was very repressive. The reality is that no, your vagina does not get looser after tons of sex. It stays the same exact shape. And I really want to express that people should feel comfortable and they shouldn't feel ashamed about exploring their body and what's most natural to them. Okay, so this is actually very embarrassing. I haven't actually said this anywhere else, but the first times that I was actually masturbating, I couldn't think of anyone. What I did was I was so scared of watching porn that I listened to audio. Actually, no, I started reading scripts online. I read like fetish, like fan fiction and stuff like that. And then I started listening to audio because I started reasoning to myself, oh, it's a guy's voice, but I'm not looking at him, so that's okay. And the more that I grew confident in my body and the more that I grew confident in what was safe and natural for me, the more I understood, hey, it's okay for me to watch porn. Like, it's actually healthy and it's really fun. And now I'm to the point where I'm doing porn and I'm very much enjoying it. And I don't feel guilty when I orgasm. And I embrace all of myself and my body. I can say something that I feel everyone should really worry about or think about is exactly what kinds of toys that you're using. When you're first exploring your sexuality and you get a toy, sometimes it's not a traditional toy. Sometimes you're using a hairbrush or some other kind of conventional object that you have at home. When you finally buy a toy, make sure that it's of a safe material like silicone, because not enough people know about toxic dildos. Dildos are usually classified as a novelty, so they don't get approved by the FDA, and you don't know exactly what you're putting into your body. So it's very important to use something like 100% silicone or some kind of safe material. Always make sure of that, because that really interferes with your body's health down there and everywhere else. Oh, geez. Okay. Before it was definitely like once a week, and then it started picking up, and now I do it about 3 times a day. I used to do it set times a day, so I would do it as soon as I woke up as like a nice little refresher, like, okay, I'm ready to start the day. And then I would do one in the afternoon for an afternoon nap. And then I would do it again right before bed so that I would fall asleep very quickly. It was my easiest night aid. I would end up just feeling so relaxed. I'm a very anxious person, so usually when I go to bed, my head is just full of all sorts of thoughts about the day, about what's going to happen next. And after I masturbate, my head is just so clear. I have that nice afterglow, and then I can just fall right to sleep. As much as I said that I do watch porn now, my usual schedule or my usual routine is I call it me, my hands, and my imagination. So I go onto my bed, I either have a blanket or a pillow, and I put the blanket in between my legs, and I squeeze my thighs just so that it's very taut, and then I rub and grind up against it. That, or I'll put a face in a pillow and another pillow in behind, and I grind against it, and that is my favorite way to get off. Psychologically speaking, I think that it has a lot of desire and longing for physical contact. There's a lot of need to be touched and held, and so that affects my desire to rub up against things. Also, this happens to do with my need for greater physical stimuli, because I'm very physically sensitive. I grew up with something that's known as a sensory processing disorder, which means everything that I feel is heightened, and it's really good for self-pleasure, which means that I just want everything to be touched. And masturbating with a blanket where you can just wrap your whole body up in it is the best way for me to really achieve that and to feel like someone's on top of me. I think that my thought patterns regarding masturbation are a little bit different from the standard norm, because I ask a lot of my friends and they say that they masturbate thinking about someone specifically. I can never actually think about someone. It can't be a name, it can't have a face. It's, for me, always the sensation, the body that's pressing against me. I create a backstory, I create like a plot, and then I'm like, okay, this is there, but I can't see their face. And then I'm just thinking, oh yes, they're holding me and they're telling me that I need to come right now, and there's no other choice. It has to be in this moment, and then bang. That's when it happens. don't hesitate to explore what you're feeling. Your desires are perfectly normal and healthy, and take your time. Because if you rush it, there's a reason why you're thinking about it extra hard. And it's okay to work through those things before you touch yourself, because you'll end up happier that way if you just work through it a little bit more. I really appreciate the time that I took to discover myself. And I spent a lot of time really figuring out what was me, what I wanted, not what anyone was telling me was sinful or bad. I listened to my own voice, and my body told me what I needed.